Yeah, we're starting right on time, man. As the intro was playing, 8 o'clock came on the dial. Let's call it whatever. But here we are, ArmChair GM. I'm GreenBean, and that is Tigo over there. And we have some big news. Today is a big day, the day we've been waiting for. Now, interestingly, you'd love to see the Jets maybe hire a general manager first, but we don't like that. We didn't do it with Joe Douglas. We didn't do it with Mike McCagnon. We didn't do it with Idzik. Why? We're just staying the course. We're just doing what we do. It's gonna work. Eventually, it's gonna work. So Aaron Glenn is the new head coach of the New York Jets. I think Jets fans are a little all over the map. Most I think are pretty psyched about it, Tigo, if I'm being straightforward. But I think there's still nicely represented pockets of folks that are wondering what's going on. Well, what's going on with the Jets? With that all said, but we'll get into our comments. I want to say hello to everybody in the chat. Thanks for hanging out with us on the Talking Jets Network. I also want to remind everybody that you can get the like button, the milk thumbs. That's important if you haven't subscribed to the channel. That is also greatly appreciated. Tigo's channel could use some love as well. It's at the top of the description of this very video to show Tigo some love. And we appreciate you guys being there. As we love you guys, and that's the truth of it. I will also remind you that BetUS has an amazing offer, 150% bonus on your first deposit up to $2,000 merely by using the promo code YouTube150 when you go to BetUS. That'll also get you a 125% bonus on your next two deposits. America's favorite sports book for a reason. As we go into the championship games, test your luck. You know stuff. Use it on BetUS. And when you're doing that, you might as well take advantage of this amazing offer. Thank you to BetUS for hanging out with us over here. So, Tigo, let me start with you, buddy. As I see my buddy Fresh in there. There he is. What's up, Fresh? Good to see you, man. Always making me feel good. He always makes me feel good, that one. Well, Tigo, initial thoughts. Where'd you land? I mean, we kind of had a feeling for a little while, so it wasn't shocking. But how do you feel about Aaron Glenn being hired as the new Jets coach?
I am cautiously optimistic. It feels good. Like, as a Jets fan, I'm very happy that Glenn, a former player, is now the head coach of the team. When I was a little kid, it was when Glenn was on the team. I remember watching Aaron Glenn, but like, when I mean like a little kid, I mean like 4 or 5. My first memories of the New York Jets and being a fan of the Jets are with Aaron Glenn on that team. And so, and not just being on that team, being one of the best players on that team, And so it's cool on that side of it, right? The emotional Jets fan of like, he came home, he picked us, you know what I mean? He wanted to come here. It was a match made in heaven. But my concerns of I do still have some concerns, but Glenn is doing, honestly, he hasn't even hired anybody yet, but all of the reports that are coming out really, really do start to quench and quell all of the concerns that I have about Aaron Glenn coming to the New York Jets as the head coach, because I never had a concern about him as a leader of men. That wasn't my concern. I never had a concern about him getting this team ready to run through a brick wall or being able to handle the New York media or any of those things. It was some of the other stuff. And the things and the reports that have come out, honestly, are really, really positive. So I'm kind of excited.
Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit about Aaron Glenn's rumored list of potential coordinators and such. We'll talk about that, but for a moment, we'll stay on Aaron Glenn himself. I put a poll in there for you guys. Go ahead and let us know your thoughts in the poll. This way, we can kind of, we know where everybody is in this little video that we're shooting today. I think, for me, I've made my opinions very clear, and I don't want to belabor the point. I mean, I did an hour and 20-minute show just last night after 2 hours of the Talking Jets panel, and just to state it without going into it, it's Aaron Glenn wasn't my first choice,
Nope.
Right? But he was never a guy that I was like, if we hired Arthur Smith, I would be like sad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh my God,
I'd be dejected.
Not quite as bad as the Gase hiring, but that hiring, I was like, I cannot believe that we did this. We have to endure this for however many years. I don't feel that way with Aaron Glenn. And I think, like you mentioned, the fact that he's been here. We drafted him. He was here for 8 years. We loved him. He was great for us. He was here through bad times and good times. And then when he came into, back into the league, he started with us again as a scout. So it's like there's a lot of love for Aaron Glenn, from me. The problem I have is that it's a rinse and repeat of our formula. We have this formula, which is rookie defensive head coach. I mean, we've been doing it for a long time, and we pair that person usually with like a rookie GM. And then again, even to add, we like to hire the coach before we do the GM. It's just we're really a clusterfuck. Like, when can we just settle back and do things the way NFL teams do things? And we just don't like to do it. Well, fuck yeah, we know what we're doing. Like, we're kind of like that. So he wasn't my first choice, but I can honestly say that I'm not unhappy that it's him. And you chose the phrase that's out there right now, leader of men. Now, we know Saleh was considered a leader of men, and I think is a leader of men, but there was also I don't know what, I'm not going to pretend, to know in hindsight and everything, but it's like, I think Saleh was trying to be a CEO head coach, like that whole thing. And like in his brain, what that meant is like professional CEO head coach. No, we just want you to be the boss of the whole team. That's what it means. Saying things like, I'm going to be in more offensive meetings this year. That's not a good thing to say, because what that means is you don't go to offensive meetings. So you're clearly just the defense. So those kinds of things. I think and hope Aaron Glenn is going to be more of that centerpiece coach, which we've talked about it many times, which is why I wanted certain coaches and why I was leaning toward experience and all that stuff. I wanted a guy who's a head coach. I don't really give a shit about their expertise on one side of the ball. Like, I want them to know ball and be able to manage the entire team. That's really my deepest desire for the head coach. Aaron Glenn, I have hope, can be that guy. He is an inspiring guy. He is really kind of no nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
Has the Parcells background, cut his teeth really in coaching under Sean Payton, and Gunny really drove that home with me the other night.
Yep.
On the Thursday Thick of It, how important that really is. And I got to say, I agree. That was one of the points that in my evaluation of this, I didn't really include all that much. And as Gunny was talking about, I said, that's actually a very, very good point. Like, being under Sean Payton for 4 years and seeing a guy who is a head coach. Now, he's clearly an offensive, guru type, but he's a head coach. He leads the entire team. And I think that's going to be of benefit to Aaron Glenn. So I'm not unhappy with this. And in just a couple days, I'm going to be really, really psyched. Like you pointed out, though, it's really going to depend on who he brings in for the staff. Like, think about this, Tigo. And we talked about this yesterday a little bit. Imagine, like, whatever we're feeling positive-wise about Aaron Glenn, if he comes in, he goes, I had a really great conversation with Aaron Rodgers. And my hope is to be able to, we'll see how it goes, but my hope is to bring him back, him and Devontae Adams, and bring him back. And I'm just thinking, why break up? He has very, very strong feelings about Hackett. So I'm thinking we keep Hackett, we keep Keith Carter, around. So we're Aaron Rodgers, Hackett, Carter. Now, if he comes out and says some bullshit like that, whatever positive feelings I'm having are going to be sliding out the drafty door, dude. That's right.
Might as well have hired Arthur Smith.
Would that ruin it?
Give me at that point. Why didn't we just hire Matt Nagy? Oh gosh.
Oh yeah, baby.
Yes. No. I think that
your guy the whole time.
I think that that's the whole thing, right? Like it's the Aaron Glenn hire. I cannot give you a definitive, this is how I feel about it, until we see who the offensive coordinator is. That's really it. Like, that's objectively the best way to look at it is right now I am cautiously optimistic. And the list of names that have come out that he has reached out to, specifically on the offensive side of the ball, are positive names. They're names that I like. They're names that I go, hey, that could work in the NFL. Like, that guy's smart. I like this. I like this coaching tree. But again, if he comes out and he says, you know what? I think the Jets offense was fine. They just needed a revamping. We're keeping the whole offensive staff. Keith Carter's a genius.
Right. Keith Carter's very respected offensive line coach in this league.
No, but they're promoting him. He's now QB coach for some reason. Like whatever.
Yeah, O-line and QBs.
Yeah. It's just Todd Downing is now assistant head coach of the offense. Like if that were the things to come out, like I said, if everything goes in the negative direction, everything goes in the opposite direction. The good thing is those guys are already out of the building, and I don't think that Glenn is going to get their key cards to work again.
Yeah, I think they're toast.
Especially because he's a Sean Payton guy, and Sean Payton kind of like went after Nathaniel Hackett, so I doubt.
Yep, there's that too.
Happens.
Okay, that's a good point. I didn't even think of that.
Downing Carter, that's a different conversation entirely, but there's hope there because Downing's not on the list, and Carter's not a good offensive line coach, and Glenn's a good coach, and I don't think he's going to want bad coaches on his football team.
It makes sense to me. It's like, hey, I know good coaches, and you happen to not be one of those. So you need to go. Now, I saw a report earlier today that there is talk about the Jets being interested in retaining White Cotton, the defensive line coach, and Tony Oden, the defensive backs coach. I don't know. I'm kind of a fan of a clean sweep. Like, I want Boyer. Get the fuck out of here. Everybody just go. Everybody get out. That's my preference.
I would like to keep on to Auden. White Cotton can leave. I would like to hold on to Auden. I think.
Why
Auden
are you saying Auden? Do you have like confirmation that that's the way it's said? I
have no idea. Is it Oden?
Tony Oden.
Is it? I thought it was Auden.
Tony.
We're calling him Tony from now on. I would like to hold on to Tony. I think that he's a future defensive coordinator in the NFL. I think that he's a good defensive backs coach. That is the only coach. If we're going to seriously have a conversation about retaining, Tony Oden is the only person that I would keep.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you're going to keep some guys, that's the area, those are the guys.
Yeah.
But so I don't know. You got, I guess it's fine. But somebody's got to figure out how to tell Sauce Gardner to stop being so damn handsy. So Tony Oden hasn't done it. And I like Tony Oden, but it's like, I don't know, man. Get somebody in here that's, hey, buddy, you got to cut the shit. You got to get your hands off these guys. Maybe your first couple of years, everybody gave you a little bit of a pass. That shit's over. So anyway, so we'll talk a little bit about the list of potential offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators in just a second. I'm seeing some really good comments. Jimmy Jet said this is a good start. 10 minutes and Tigo hasn't pissed off Green. You don't know. I'm furious with him right now. Aggravating the shit out of me. I gotta let the show go.
Keep the heat in.
I gotta let the show progress. I gotta let it build up so I can really fucking now, hey man, this is one of those interesting areas. Every now and then Tigo and I align. And I think even though leading up to the hire, we were really on two different sides, somewhat. But I think we had similar feelings about Aaron Glenn. It was like, all right, well, like defensive coordinator, rookie again. Like, if you're gonna do that,
swing for the fences.
Well, I think Aaron Glenn is the guy. If you're gonna do it, you know what I mean.
My thing was like, if you're gonna go rookie head coach, swing for the fences. Try to find the next McVay. Because at least you tried something. But I think I was having this conversation on Twitter with a couple of people and in a couple of other group chats where it's just like, Glenn was the safe pick. Amongst almost all of the NFL circles, he was a top 2 or a top 3 candidate in this head coaching cycle. Everybody loves him. Everybody thinks that he's great. And Woody has to get out from under all of the bad press, and going and making a safe pick is... It kind of goes against that narrative of, or at least it tries to fight back against the narrative of the dysfunction of the Jets. We'll see if it works out, but that's the whole thing. Woody was never going to swing for the fences. No, he was going to try to take the safe single or double. That was it.
And do it wrong. He's like, I'm going to take the single, but we're going to do it in a way. And I'm going to make my own. We're going to take the bat and hold it backwards.
I'm going to lean in. I'm going to get a hit by pitch.
We're going to take the bat and hold it straight forward. And you'll see it's going to work. I don't know this guy. Let's look at Swamp Ranger's comment. And then we'll look at our list of OCs and all that jazz. So Swamp Ranger, thank you, buddy. He says, need to nail the offensive coordinator and get a quarterback for the future or we're screwed. Again, I love it. Oil main tour. Jeremy doesn't get infuriated with anyone at the Senior Bowl. Oil main. Sure. What does that mean? Oil main. Sure. You got to make sure Jeremy doesn't get infatuated with anyone. Right. He's got to stop proclaiming his love. Right. Because look, he did that last year with Ulbricht, and the guy's the defensive coordinator of the Falcons. So, Jeremy's might have the kiss of death there, Swamp Ranger. Honestly. But that's Swamp Ranger's job. He's going to be down there, from what I understand, and work in security for our boys. Dom C and Jeremy will be at the Senior Bowl. I had designs on going, and turns out that I can't go. My wife is going to be in San Diego that week, and my son is playing his first ever show as a drummer in a metal band. So I got to go do that too. So it just didn't work out. But anyway, Swamp Ranger talking about the OC. I agree with you. We need to nail the OC.
Yep.
That's vitally important. And leading from this super chat, let me just see if there was another one to make sure. All right, yeah. So he followed up. I'll make sure Jeremy doesn't get. Yeah, okay, yeah.
There it is. Thank you, Swamp Ranger.
We got close. We figured it out, man. You're all right. But thanks for the clarification. But going from his comment about it, and he's right. The offensive coordinator hire, I think, is the most important right now. And people say, the position code. Yep. I'm with all that. And the DC, of course.
Yep.
But Aaron Glenn happens to be a DC. If we are a little bit light there, it's offense. And the Jets, as we've talked about, 7 offensive coordinators in the last 10 years, there's a problem here. We need to prioritize this and get this hire right.
Yep.
Now, I'm going to tell you, Tigo's going to read the list, but I just want to make this clear. There are 204 people in here right now. Now, the last 24 hours, everybody's talking about Mark Brunell. Up to this point, everybody's talking about Josh McCown. I have been making the case for Mark Brunell for a few weeks.
You have?
Nobody was talking about him. I'm like, if we're going to do this, why isn't Mark Brunell the guy? The resume is literally twice what McCown's is. And I like it. I think that would be a slam dunk hire. And let's not forget, he ended his playing career right here with the Jets.
2011.
So there you go. Helped Sanchez in the 2010 championship season, So it's one of those things where, when you look at Jared Goff before Brunell, and he had McVay for a nice chunk of that time, right? So it wasn't like he was terrible, but he was on the descent and they were done. They traded for Matt Stafford. They thought, we can't win with Jared Goff. So they traded for Matt Stafford. He goes to the Lions. Everybody thought he was like a filler year quarterback. They got 2 firsts in the trade and that they were going to make their move and get their quarterback. And they never did because under Mark Brunell's tutelage, and you can say Ben Johnson as well, but Mark Brunell as the quarterback coach, he's had his best years.
Literally. They were the favorites. I think everybody was talking about Detroit was going to go to the Super Bowl.
Everybody thought it. And then he threw 3 picks. So that's, hey, shit happens. But as far as
that's not on Brunell, Jared Goff going to Jared Goff.
Right. He's 4,600 yards and 37 touchdowns this year. Not too shabby for a guy that everybody thought just a couple of years ago was hot garbage. So anyway, I would like that. So why don't you, I'm just pointing out that everybody's on the bandwagon and I've been talking about him. I went out on a limb, everybody, talking about Brunell. People like, Brunell, what are you fucking bringing that old man? I'm like, okay, you'll see. Now, I don't know if he'll be the guy, but I like the idea. So, Tigo, what's the list of rumored offensive coordinator candidates that are on deck for us right now?
So there's a list of like 6-ish or 7-ish names of guys that have we have concrete evidence. And by evidence, I mean there have been tweets by people that you should trust that have said that we've talked that Glenn has at least spoken to these people about the position. The first one is Scott Turner, Norv Turner's son. There's going to be a lot of nepotism on this list if you pay attention. He was most recently with the Las Vegas Raiders as their passing game coordinator, and then when they fired their offensive coordinator, he became the interim offensive coordinator for them. So that is one option. Then there is this one. I'll start with the long shots because I think these are long shots. Is Scott Turner, and then Josh McCown has also been apparently. Glenn reached out to Josh McCown to possibly be the offensive coordinator for the New York Jets. Both are considered long shots because it seems like Scott Turner reached out to Glenn to have that conversation about the offensive coordinator position, and because McCown has come out and officially said, I'm not leaving for an offensive coordinator job. It's head coach or I'm staying in Minnesota, which makes sense for him as a coach, obviously. And then we get to the list of people that there's some smoke, and where there's smoke, there's fire. And those 3 names are Nick Caley, who is the tight ends coach and pass game coordinator for the Los Angeles Rams right now.
Right.
He is being seriously considered for the offensive coordinator position. A lot of people believe that he might be in a part of the front running and in getting that job. So that is an interesting hire. I would be a fan of kind of going in this direction. The other one is Clint Kubiak, who was most recently the offensive coordinator of the New Orleans Saints. Last year was the offensive coordinator for the Saints. The year before that was the passing game coordinator for the 49ers. And then the year before that was the passing game coordinator for Detroit. Some of you guys might be familiar with Clint Kubiak's name because when we fired LaFleur, Clint was a name that was being brought up during that cycle as a possible candidate for us to be brought in for an offensive coordinator. Would love this hire and going in this direction. And then last but not least, obviously, is a name that we already talked about, is obviously quarterbacks coach for the Detroit Lions, Mark Brunell, as the offensive coordinator. It seems like more than likely we're going to end up with one of Kaylee Kubiak or Brunell. And it seems like right now, from all of the things and all the people I've been able to talk about, that Kaylee is leading the charge as the potential offensive coordinator. But there are a lot of conversations, and there are a lot of things happening.
So I think now, was it you just before the show you were talking about Josh McCown being smart as he's being considered for head coaching jobs, saying, I don't want an offensive coordinator job because it'll kind of diminish his value or whatever. And that maybe he is open to it, right? If it's not as in stone as maybe it sounded. So maybe he would do it. Now, would I hate McCown as an OC? No. Would I be a little fucking freaked out if we decided to take a guy who has 2 years of quarterback coach experience and one for the Panthers and one for the Vikings and made him a head coach? Yeah, I'd be a little spooked, be honest with you. But making him an OC, that's the natural progression of things. So that makes more sense. I wouldn't hate that. If I had to put my money on it, I think Kubiak seems like a pipe dream to me. I don't know why. It just seems, I don't know. I like him, and I would be excited.
He's my number one.
Okay, yeah, and that makes sense. So it seems to me like somebody from the Detroit Lions staff, right? Now Brunell is a guy that we're talking about, but there are some others too. Who was the guy? Who's the running backs, the assistant head coach, running game coordinator? What the hell's his name again? Lions coach. Here we go. Hold on, I'll tell you. Forgive me. I just forget his name. Somebody brought him up last night. It's a very interesting candidate. Scotty Montgomery is an interesting name too. We're not hearing that rumored, but I think somebody from the Detroit Lions staff makes sense. If not, I tend to lean where I think Kaylee.
I think the problem with Montgomery is that he's being groomed to be the new offensive coordinator for the Lions.
Well, then that would be right. That would prohibit, right?
Yeah.
But then look, you got Ben Johnson out there. He's going to want to take somebody.
Yep.
Right.
I think
you got Aaron. The Detroit Lions are going to need to replace Ben Johnson. So there's one or two of these guys. Now, there's also been whispers that that Ben Johnson might want Brunell for the Bears.
Yeah.
So that leaves. So if he doesn't want, look, there really are three guys. So there's Montgomery, there's Engstrand, and Brunell. So, and there's three, positions: the Detroit Lions offensive coordinator position, the Ben Johnson position over there with the Bears, and the Jets. So one of these guys, how would you feel if Engstrand broke free?
If Engstrand broke free, I'm all on board. I think the problem with Montgomery and Engstrand is that it almost seems like a done deal that Engstrand is going to be the OC in Chicago and that Montgomery is going to be the OC in Detroit, which would leave us with, if we're going to go to the Detroit Lions and their staff, it would leave us with Brunell. And I'm not trying to say that we're like, oh, we're getting the best of the rest or kind of a thing. No. I think Brunell is legitimately a good candidate, right? And a good person for the job. It's just, if Engstrat does sneak free because there's at least some conversation in Chirac, because Chicago is also a dysfunctional organization. Let's not forget there. Let's not act like we're the only dysfunctional organization in the NFL. There is conversation that Thomas Brown, who is the interim head coach of the Bears after they fired Eberflus, that he would stay as the offensive coordinator under Ben Johnson.
Wait, who was that?
Thomas Brown. He was the offensive coordinator under Eberflus, became the interim head coach, and there is at least conversation that Poles is trying to pressure Ben into keeping Thomas Brown as the OC because he was technically only an interim head coach. That would be awesome. That would be awesome because then Engstrat breaks free, and then it would become a competition between Glenn and Campbell of who can get his signature to be the offensive coordinator.
Yeah. I mean, let me ask you, the idea of Brunell, does that excite you? Is that just kind of like a,
of the people that are on the list, he is the third one of the three, like in like the list of people that like Clint, Kaylee, and Brunell. Brunell is my third choice. I'm not anti-Brunell. He has a good coaching resume. Since being with the Detroit Lions and the revitalization and all of the things that happened with Jared Goff, like you said, that's a positive. He's been with Ben Johnson, and Ben Johnson was a very, very exciting and attractive offensive mind. But if you're going to go and get a guy from the Ben Johnson staff, the passing game coordinator is a better option than the QB coach, in my opinion.
Well, right, generally speaking.
And then I would also, if we're also going to go down that road, like in having those conversations, someone who's actually done the job at a high level like Clint Kubiak did, I would prefer, obviously, but it seems like he's destined for Seattle, maybe. And then Nick Caley I really like because of the Sean McVay tree, obviously being there and learning there, but also because he's young. It would take a longer time if he does succeed for him to get into head coaching circles conversations. So we could theoretically keep him around longer, and we got to get the quarterback right. And I would like it to be a young guy that we go and get in the draft in 2026. So I would like the offensive coordinator and the young quarterback.
But that's an interesting comment that you stake. Just tell me the last Jets offensive coordinator that was hired for a head coaching job, and then I'll govern my fear level by this answer.
Again, but when was the last time we had a coach on the offensive side of the ball worth a damn?
That's what I'm saying.
But like if we're gonna go, we can always be negative and just be like, no, everything's gonna suck.
Like the data, like we always get there, like if we get a good guy, like we're afraid, like let's fucking just get the best guy.
I agree. Go get Kubiak. I agree. Go get Kubiak. I don't care if he's taken to be a head coach in 2 years. He's the best guy. Go get him. But I think we both agree that that'll be a hard ask.
Now, what is the timeline on this? What do you expect? What are we looking at? Before we start hearing some names, when Saleh was hired, it didn't take very long. We heard about LaFleur, and then we heard, what was that offensive line coach? I just forget his name. I
don't remember.
Shit.
I purged that from my mind.
Yeah. It's funny because he left I think he went back to the Bengals where he was at before that, and he's fucking great. You know what I mean? He's good again. Everybody sucks here. I'm just so sick of it. But like, what would you expect? Tomorrow? A week? What are you thinking?
I think Glenn is on the phones working his ass off to bring guys in to find out who his staff is going to be, because I think we all know that the deal was done last night. Yeah. And that the reason it took time was just ironing out details. Is it a 5-year deal? Is it a 6-year deal? If it's a 5-year deal, okay, what does that mean in terms of value? Is Newmark going to be my GM, or can we have a conversation? Like, those were the conversations that were happening, right? And we already got news last night that he was on the phone making calls.
Yeah, well, we got rumors last night.
Yeah. We got rumors last night that he was already on the call making like, hey, you want to come to the Jets with me? Hey, you want to come with the Jets with me? Hey, like, and so I think he's already working because there's a lot of stories that Glenn is a no nonsense. He's not going to say he's going to put his head down. And he's going to put, pedal to the metal and he's going to get work done. And so my expectation is, especially because Glenn was a former scout, he's going to want to take full advantage of the offseason. Shrine Bowl is coming. Senior Bowl is coming. He's going to want his coaching staff. He's going to want his guys there. I think by the end of this week, I think Saturday, we know who this Jets coaching staff is.
That would be great. I'm really hoping that, because I want to get the guy, like if he's got a first choice, I want him to get that guy. Right. Go get your guy. Excuse me. Go get your guy. I will say,
I'll say we know who our coaching staff is before we know who our GM is.
Oh, it's painful. So and we can segue into that. We don't have a GM. The rumor was that Newmark and Glenn were coming together. Now Newmark isn't out, but he didn't sign a deal. And now all of a sudden there's more guys getting interviewed, second interviews. And I'll tell you why Aaron Glenn went back because he wanted to go sit with his wife and talk about it. That's what it is. I mean, any smart man who's married knows, best case scenario, like I have the offer on the table. Let me go talk to you sit down with your partner, your fucking, you know what I mean? Your life partner, your wife, and you put it all out there and you process the feelings. Cause let me tell you a secret. Even if the wife doesn't know football or whatever, wives have an amazing perspective shift. Like they have an angle that we don't possess, say, darling, if that's what you say, baby cakes, here's what it looks like. Tell me what you think, and it's important. And that's what keeps marriages alive, everybody. So that's what really happened. He didn't need anything. He was just like, let my agent figure out the final dots on the I's and all that shit. I'm going to go talk to my wife. Woody, can I borrow your private jet? Said, no problem, buddy. Go ahead, take my private jet. I got 6 of them. That kind of a thing. But here we are with the GM. Again, I think a lot of us, and I know myself, are a little bit perturbed that the GM wasn't here before the coach. It's just, it's what we do, man. It's what we do more times than not. So here we are again. We kind of thought that Newmark was coming. He wasn't, again, not my first guy, but see, look, he's been a part of the complete turnaround and resurgence of 2 terrible franchises in the Detroit Lions and the Washington whatevers, right?
John Benton. That was the guy we were trying to think of.
Benton. There he goes. And Braden had a funny comment. I saw that, Braden. Where is it? Braden and I have history, so he knows. I was calling, I forget who it was, but I couldn't shake the name Ben Breedenson. It's funny, you put it in there. I forget who it was that I kept calling that. And everybody's like, dude, that's not his name. I'm like, I just couldn't shake it. It's like for, 2 years I called Quincy Wilson. It's just, I couldn't shake it. I tried.
Wilson? We already have a Quinton Williams. It's just change the first name.
No, Quincy.
No, I know.
Yeah, well, Quincy just
changed the first
followed by Wilson in my brain. I don't fucking know, man. I couldn't shake it, Tigo. I tried. I really wanted to be better.
Quincy Wilson is hilarious.
Yeah.
I didn't hear that one.
Anyway, so look, we added what is it? Maugi, how you say it? Moogie and Trey Brown.
Yep.
With Newmark. So Newmark, again, he's a young guy. He's been with the Detroit Lions for a long time, a part of that resurgence. Went over to Washington, and we see what happened. Only there 1 year, but he's a part of that. He's assistant GM, and that's a high level position, man. So he's got say. The GM obviously makes final decisions, but he's a part of the brain trust and all that shit. And they made a lot of very, very good moves. And you see they're in the NFC Championship game. So, and those are 2, similar to us, long ailing franchises. So it makes sense, maybe you want a little bit stronger of a resume, but it makes sense. Moogie's been with the Broncos for a very, very long time, and similarly went up the chain. So he seems like a decent candidate. I don't like his face, quite frankly. I just would rather a better face. But hey, you can't change that. So I don't
disagree.
You don't judge people for shit they can't change, and I certainly don't judge them. But I just want, I don't know. I like football face. You know what I mean? Football face is very important to me. I'm old and fucking caveman. But and then Trey Brown, which is the guy that stirs your goodies the most, you think?
I don't love any of them. I don't hate any of them. I guess like the ones that kind of go to the top of my list would be Newmark and Moogie. One, because like Newmark stuck it with the Lions for 20 years.
Yeah.
He was there since 98. He's been at the Lions since I was in diapers. I've lived a life and he was been at the Lions. So he's been there a long, 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 long time. And there's a lot of reports that Adam Peters, who is the general manager of the Commies, that he really, really, really likes, and respects and goes to Newmark for advice and have conversations with and things like that. So there's something there. Darren Moogie was and has been with the Denver Broncos since 2012 and has worked his way up and has seen a lot of regimes, working there. He was there why can't I think of I can see his face. You won a Super Bowl in Denver. He was the GM.
What, Elway?
Elway, there it is. Jesus, I couldn't think of Elway's name.
Yeah.
You could see his face. He was there with Elway when Elway was the GM and all of those decisions and everything there. And so he's seen a lot of things, but Denver was there when they won a Super Bowl, but that was all when he was like an area scout. He really only became a serious person as a part of the decision-making process recently. The same thing could kind of where Newmark was doing that since I was in high school. So that matters. And then I don't like Trey Brown.
Yeah, he's uninspiring.
I don't love his resume. I know nothing about him, but when I Googled Trey Brown, I saw New England Patriots and I was like, F this guy.
Yeah, get out of my house.
And then once I calmed down a little bit, I saw Philadelphia Eagles and I was like, F this guy even more. And then I calmed down and I saw the Birmingham Iron and I was like, oh yeah, no, I'm done.
Yeah, get this guy out of here. I'm with you, man. We don't need it. There's plenty of people.
Battlehawks is on his resume, guys.
Yeah, and we know how we feel about them. 14 years says that convo happened. So we're talking about the wife. Oh, well, of course, but
once you get a job offer,
once you get the actual offer, right? Like they say the deal was done essentially. And I don't know, what, I don't know. I'm making it up, of course, but you gotta go, and even if it's just a respect thing, you sit down with your wife and you say,
vibe,
honey lamb. That's a lot of people say that. Honey lambs. What do you think? Sugar plums. You know what I mean? What do you think, baby cakes? Hey, you got to do it, So I don't know. If it's your choice, what you going Newmark? You going Moogie Moogs? What are you doing here?
Flip a coin. I don't have a preference on either one of them. I guess I would go Newmark just because what the Detroit Lions have done recently, is really, really cool. And they're an organization that I think I can, as a Jets fan, I think we can relate to a little bit more in terms of the Lions were a dumpster fire, a laughing stock. They weren't a serious organization. No one wanted to go there and all those things. And Dan Campbell goes in and they changed that whole system. And now Detroit is a destination that coaches and players and executives want to go. And if we can poach from that, that's an exciting thing. And so I guess I would lean Newmark, but again, I have no love lost for Denver. So
yeah, I
would see either one.
I mean, look, maybe Aaron Glenn came in, he's all right. He said, I don't know about this Newmark guy. And maybe that's it. I mean, who knows? They got to work together. There has to be a symmetry.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I can say about JD and Salah, they seem to be lockstep. They seem to be on the same page. They were passionate about the same guys. There was a cohesive, relationship there that I think is very, very important. The coach doesn't make those decisions per se, but any good GM is getting the players that the coach feels strongly that he can use. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I don't know. I think
it's philosophical. I think it's philosophically you need to be aligned. Whether it's liking the same players or anything like that, I don't think that necessarily matters. It's good to butt heads. But I think like if someone believes we're going to build outside in on offense in like terms of like you're going to go get wide receivers and running backs and tight ends and then focus on the O-line, and then the head coach is like, no, we work from the trenches out. Like that's a fundamental. I don't think you can overcome. That's not a small disagreement. A small disagreement was what me and Dom had with Peter Skoronski a couple years ago in the draft, where I didn't think he was going to be a tackle. I didn't think he even had a shot at being a tackle. And Dom was like, he's more than likely going to be a guard, but I would give him a shot at tackle. That's a small disagreement. A small disagreement is whether or not a player's going to work. But if you're still targeting the same place, that's different. If you're like, no, we should go wide receiver in the first. No, we should go offensive tackle in the first.
Yeah, or like, I don't like that wide receiver. He's 5'7", and you're like, I don't care. I'm taking him.
He runs a 4.2. Let's get him.
Yeah. That kind of shit.
Yeah, that's a fundamental,
That's like McCagnon. McCagnon didn't let his scouts talk to the coaches. Think about that. We didn't know. That's crazy. So I saw a good one about, what is this guy? GreenBean. You think he brings in Victor Green? Well, Victor Green's out there on Twitter saying that he would love it. He said, he made it clear nobody's offered me anything, but I would love to join the Jets staff and, especially under Aaron Glenn. But, look, he hasn't coached, but you can make him an assistant defensive backs coach and let him focus on the safeties. I mean, you could do a lot worse than Victor Green going, dude, why are you not crushing that guy? Just that alone. Come here. Why didn't you knock that guy's head off?
Why is that guy alive? Why is he still breathing? Just let me know. Where's the disconnect?
You're a strong safety. That guy was just ripe for the picking, standing straight up, running through the hole, and you fucking dove at his legs. Why didn't you crush him? I need an explanation. So I think we could do a lot worse.
Let's make sure those things work, Let's try to crack some ribs.
Yeah, man. Look, you bring in Aaron Glenn, obviously now. You let him bring in Mark Brunell. He was a Jet for a little while. You go get Victor Green. I'll tell you what. Mangold as the offensive line coach, man. Let's do it.
I don't know about offensive line coach because I think we need to get like a legitimate offensive line coach out there. I think it's time. Let's start filling the staff with some greats as assistants, man. Let's get Mangold in. Let's get Green in. I'm down with all of it.
I'm in.
And I think I'm more positive on McCown. Like Uncle Josh's OC. Let's do it. The whole nine.
Right. Everybody.
Bring
in all these losers.
Let's go get Brandon Marshall.
Guys we love, but guys who never won it all. Put them all together again.
Yep.
Fucking Vinny Testaverde as the quarterback coach. Let's go.
All of it. Nah, keep Vinny away.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Just leave his Achilles home. Can you believe the luck and just the weird just the idea. Aaron Rodgers' first game, they bring Vinny out for the coin toss.
Who thought that was a good idea?
I just can't imagine. I can't imagine. Look, I love Vinny, but are we fucking kidding? Don't tell me there's no connective tissue there. Vinny Testaverde, dude, we were the best team in the league, 1999. We were built for the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Game 1, Vinny Testaverde tears his Achilles. You bring him out. You haven't done anything with Vinny Testaverde in there forever. You bring him out Aaron Rodgers' first game for the coin toss, and then he tears his Achilles for play. Don't tell me they're not connected. It just happens. Okay.
No. It didn't just happen.
I'm not buying it, man. I'm not buying it. So let's end this poll. I put a poll up there for you guys. Hey, how you feeling about this Aaron Glenn thing? And I know most Jets fans are pretty positive, but let's see where we are. 59% said, let's go. 20% said, not bad, but meh. Came in third with 15%. Meh, same old, like a rinse and repeat kind of a thing. And 3% said, man, this is some weak shit. Now, I think that's right in line with what I expected.
Yep.
But I think this, and look, I've made my complaint, as we deconstructed every candidate on the way in to this decision. The bottom line is this. I love Aaron Glenn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if it was going to be a rookie, especially a rookie DC, Aaron Glenn was the guy.
Yep.
It's just that simple.
Yep.
And he is a respected, not only coach, but just man in the NFL.
Human being.
There it is. Look,
I love Aaron Glenn, the human.
Love him.
I love Aaron Glenn, the coach. We'll see if I love Aaron Glenn, the head coach.
Yeah, and look, the one of the positives is he has endured our fan base and our media. He knows what to expect. He's not coming here from, California like, I'm excited, all gas, no brakes.
GreenBean, this is a great point. No, this is a great point because a lot of people were like, oh, this is just a Salah hiring. I was like, what are you talking about? The 49ers have been an upstanding organization since before I was alive. Yeah. They don't know what dysfunction is in San Francisco, really. That's where Salah came from. I'm being exaggerated, obviously, but you know what I mean? Like, he came from a team that just went to the Super Bowl, a team that still has the same head coach since when he was there, It's not like he came to the West Coast. He came from the West Coast to the East Coast. I think a big part of this Glenn hire that should get Jets fans specifically excited is the fact that Glenn was in New York for a turnaround with the Jets. That team in 94 was not good. I had to look that up.
Nor was the team in 95 or 96.
I was going to say, I had to look it up because that was before I was alive.
Oh, I could tell you all about it, buddy. 94.
Those weren't good teams.
94 is the fake spike year. We were 6-4, I think it was, playing for first place. Fake spike. We didn't win another game. As a matter of fact, from the fake spike, we were playing in that game for first place. And we were ahead in the fourth quarter, like 24-6. From that loss, the fake spike, we won 4 games in 2.5 years.
It was not a good team.
All right.
And they turned it around.
Yeah, well, Parcells came here in 1 year. He took a 1-5. And this is why, look, you guys know I supported Joe Douglas. I could back up to a lot of things that I liked that he did. But let's just be real. He had 6 years. We did not break 7 wins. Parcells came here, took a 1-15 team, and in 1 year we were 9-7. The next year we were 12-4. Made it to the AFC Championship. The next year is 99 when Vinny went down, and it took us too long to kind of figure out the quarterback. We should have just stuck Ray Lucas in there. Rick Meyer and the whole shit. But it didn't take long.
Nope. But again,
you do
going
it right.
back to the point was like, he was here for a turnaround in New York. So he knows what it takes to win and what it does here in New York. And then goes all the way to Detroit, a dumpster fire of an organization, is a part of a rebuild there. So, yeah, if there's a reason to be excited about Glenn, I think that there are a lot of positives going in. I will hold off on my let's go buying Aaron Glenn jersey excitement until we get the offensive coordinator announcement. And then I'll either be all in or it'll take me a bit to get to all in. I'll get to all in eventually. This team has a hold over my brain. I'll get there eventually. These lights stay on most of the day. It takes a sec. I'll believe.
It's fresh.
I'll force myself to believe eventually. The speed at which I believe will be dependent on who the offensive coordinator hires.
Especially if we have a good draft. That's it. We're in.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? We're in. We're back.
We get one press conference where he's not doesn't look like he's on coke. I'm
right, man. Fucking.
If he just comes in and says, "We're gonna play. The football is a gladiator sport. It was built for the people in New York. We're gonna play New York Jets football." I'm all right. That's all he's got.
I don't want to hear any catchphrasey shit. I don't want all gas, no break. I don't want it. I don't like it. All right. Last thing for you. JV Free checking in. Glenn better announce AR is back.
That'll take time.
How do you feel about that?
I think AR should come back. But that's going to take time. It's not going to be only on Aaron Glenn. Rodgers has to make the decision to want to come back. It's going to be a conversation.
Well, we got to make it known that we want him back, though.
No, totally. But we've already got reports that Aaron Glenn would like to keep Aaron. Now the ball's in Aaron's court. Again, I don't think we're going to make anything official. I don't think Aaron Glenn is going to come out and say, I would like to keep Aaron Rodgers. But that's going to take some time. I think I'm not there yet. Let's get the OC right. Who's the OC? Tell me who the offense. That's my next step. We got Glenn. Tell me who the offensive coordinator is. Awesome. Once we got the OC, let's focus on the general manager. Who's the general manager? Once we got those two things in place, then I can have a conversation about Aaron Rodgers and what's the fit and all of these things. And do we even want to bring him back? And, all of those things. One step at a time. Let's not get tattoos of Super Bowl champs yet. I think that was the mistake that we all did last year.
Too many tattoos.
Too many 2025 Super Bowl champ tattoos right on people's foreheads. One step at a time. We got the head coach. Woo! Yeah. Who's the OC?
And so it begins. Matt West, that's a great comment, buddy. Great comment. Glenn is coaching to where football is going. The famous words of Christopher Johnson referring to Adam Gase. Wonderful, storied history we have, my friend. That's really great. I want to thank BetUS, guys. I'll remind you, don't forget, YouTube 150 is the promo code. 150% deposit on your or bonus on your first deposit up to $2,000 is the deal. All you got to do is go to BetUS and use that promo code YouTube 150 to get the offer. Thank you to BetUS for hanging out with us. Tigo, you got anything coming up? I mean, it's exciting times. What are you cooking? Good looking?
No, I'm excited to make Jets content again. I've been dead inside for a long time. And the only thing that I had been looking forward to when it comes to Jets content was this show, if I'm going to be honest. But we're in exciting times. There's things to talk about. There are, so I'm excited to dive back into the draft and have these conversations and to do these things because the New York Jets football is going to be back. I'm super, super excited for it. And I cannot wait. It's going to be fun not being the laughing stock anymore. Glenn's a serious candidate. A lot of people like him, and a lot of people are going to take him very, very seriously. And that's going to be a really, really nice change of pace. I like it. And our team's actually good. We got a lot of good players here, man. This isn't a restart. I think we're going to see a
decide-
very, very Parcells-esque turnaround, assuming we get the OC hire right. I think we can very easily go to a 10-win team next year. Like, just get the kicker right, and we win 7 games this year.
Oh, got to get a good kicker. I'm telling you, just in
Draft
the
on the
round,
5th.
fucking get him.
Go get
the
him.
Best kicker in the country, dude.
I don't know who he is.
Me
but
neither.
whoever
His
he
name's
is.
Tom Billabub.
Come on.
That's what I'm
Come on.
thinking.
We all know his name is Buster, right?
Buster McGooligan. I'd love it.
It's Buster McKenzie.
Buster McGooligan setting up for the point after attempt. Yeah, I love it. Anyway, Tigo, thanks for hanging out. Once again, I always enjoy our time together. I want to thank everybody in the chat. What a great night we had. Hey, it's a big day. We got our coach. Let's see what happens next. All we need is a general manager and some staff, and we're rolling. But it had to start, and it did. And today was the day. So thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks to BetUS. Thanks to Braden from New Zealand coming back. He took a little break. Like, dude, I just can't. I'm in New Zealand, for fuck's sake. Why am I ruining New Zealand life with this bullshit? So I'm with you, buddy. Glad you're back. Rusty Spooner's here. Everybody's in the house. Billy SBC. You guys are the best. I love you. We will see you next time.